The merry words of the host to the sailor and to the prioress. Well said, by Corpus Dominus, said our host. Now a long time may you sail along the coast. Sir gentle master, gentle mariner, God give this monk 1,000 years bitter. Alas, comrades, beware of such a jape, the monk put into that man's hood on an ape. And in the wife's too, by St. Augustine, invite no more monks to your house or inn, but let that pass, and let us look about to see who shall be next of all this rout, to tell a tale. And after that he said, as courteously as it had been a maid, My lady prioress, and by your leave, so that I knew I should in no way grieve, I would opine that tell a tale you should, the one that follows next if you but would. Now will you please vouchsafe it, dear lady dear? Gladly, said she, and spoke as you shall hear. Explicit. The Prioress's Prologue. O Lord, our Lord, thy name how marvellous is spread through all this mighty world, said she. For not alone thy praise so glorious is given by men of worth and dignity, but from the mouths of children thy bounty is hymned, yea, even sucklings at the breast do sometimes thy laudation manifest. Wherefore in praise, as best I can or may, of thee and of that pure white lily flower, who bore thee and is yet a maid alway, I tell a tale as best as in my power. Note not that I may increase her heavenly dower, for she herself is honor and the one, for whom spring wealth and goodness, next her son. O mother maid, O maiden mother free, O bush unburnt, burning in Moses' sight, who ravished to the soul of deity, with thy meekness, the spirit of the light, that is virtue which was thy soul's delight, conceived in thee the Father's wise essence. Help me to speak now with all reverence. Lady, thy goodness and thy generous grace, thy virtue and thy great humility, no tongue may say, no pen may fully trace. For sometimes, lady, ere men pray to thee, thou goest before of thy benignity, and givest us the true light of by thy prayer, to guide us all unto thy Son so dear. I cannot bear the burden, blessed Queen, of fitly praising all thy worthiness. My wisdom and my knowledge are too mean, but as a child of 12 months old or less, that scarcely any word can well express. So fair I know, and therefore do I pray, guide thou that song of thee which I shall say. Explicit. Here begins the prioress's tale. In Asia, in a city rich and great, there was a Jewry set amidst the town, established by a rich lord of the state, for usury and gain of ill renown, hateful to Christ and those who are his own. And through that street a man might ride or wend, for it was free and open at each end. A little school for Christian folk there stood, down at the further end, in which there were many children born of Christian blood, who learned in that same school year after year such teachings as with men were current there, which is to say, to sing well and to read, as children do of whatsoever creed. Among these children was a widow's son, a little choir boy 7 years of age, who went to school as days passed one by one, and who, whenever saw he the image of Jesus' mother, it was his usage, as he'd been taught, to kneel down there and say Ave Maria ere he went his way. Thus had this widow her small son well taught, O blessed Lady, Jesus' mother dear, to worship always, and he ne'er forgot, for simple child learns easily and clear. But ever when I muse on matters here, St. Nicholas stands I in my presence, for he, when young, did do Christ reverence. This little child, his little lesson learning, sat at his primer in the school, and there, while boys were taught, the antiphons kept turning, and heard the Alma Redemptoris fair, and drew as near as ever he did dare, marking the words, remembering every note, until the first verse he could sing by rote. He knew not what this Latin meant to say, being so young and of such tender age, but once a young school comrade did he pray to expound to him the song in his language, or tell him why the song was in usage, asking the boy the meaning of the song. On his bare knees he begged him well and long. His fellow was an older lad than he, and answered thus, This song, as I've heard say, was made to praise our blessed Lady free, her to salute and ever her to pray, to be our help when comes our dying day. I can expound to you only so far. I've learned the song, I know but a small grammar. And in this song, made in all reverence of Jesus' mother, asked this innocent, Now truly I will work with diligence to learn it all ere Christmas sacrament, though for my primer I take punishment, and though I'm beaten thrice within the hour, yet will I learn it by Our Lady's power. His fellow taught him on their homeward way, until he learned the antiphon by rote. Then clear and bold he sang it day by day, each word according with its proper note. And twice each day it welled from out his throat, as schoolward went he, and as homeward went. On Jesus' mother was his fixed intent. As I have said, as through the Jewry went this little schoolboy, out the song would ring, and joyously the notes he upward sent, O Alma Redemptoris would he sing. To his heart's core it did the sweetness bring of Christ's dear mother, and to her to pray. He could not keep from singing on his way. Our primal foe, the serpent Sathanas, who has in Jewish hearts his hornet's nest, swelled arrogantly, O Jewish folk, alas, it is to you a good thing, and the best, that such a boy walks here without protest, in your despite in doing such offense against the teachings that you reverence. From that time forth the Jewish folk conspired out of the world this innocent to chase. A murderer they found and thereto hired, who in an alley and a hiding place. And as the child went by at sober pace, this cursed Jew did seize and hold him fast, and cut his throat, and in a pit him cast. I say that in a cesspool him they threw, wherein there Jesus did empty their entrails. O cursed folk of Herod, born anew, how can you think your ill intent avails? Murder will out to sure, nor ever fails, and chiefly when God's honor vengeance needs, the blood cries out upon your cursed deeds. O martyr, firm in thy virginity, now mayst thou sing, and ever follow on the pure white lamb celestial, quoth she. Whereof the great evangelist St. John in Patmos wrote, saying that they are gone before the lamb, singing a song that's new, and virgins all, who never woman knew. This widow poor awaited all that night her child's return to her, but he came not, for which, as soon as it was full daylight, with pale face full of dread and busy thought, at school she sought and everywhere she sought, until at last from all her questioning she learned that he was last seen in the Jewry. With mother's pity in her breast enclosed, she ran as if she were half out of her mind to every place where it might be supposed, in likelihood that she her son should find, and even on Christ's mother meek and kind. She called until at last Our Lady wrought that amongst the cursed Jews the widow sought. She asked and she implored all piteously of every Jew who dwelt in that foul place to tell her where her little child could be. They answered nay, but Jesus of his grace put in her mind within a little space that after him in that same spot she cried, where he'd been cast in pit or near beside. O thou great God, who innocence hast called, to give thee praise, now shown is thy great might, this gem of chastity, this emerald of martyrdom, the ruby clear and bright. Began, though slain and hidden there from sight, the Alma Redemptoris loud to sing, so clear that all the neighborhood did ring. The Christian folk that through the ghetto went came running for the wonder of this thing, and hastily they for the provost sent, and also came without long tarrying, and gave Christ thanks, who is of heaven King, and to his mother honor of mankind. And after that the Jews there did he bind. This child with piteous lamentations then was taken up, singing his song alway, and honored by a great concourse of men, carried within an abbey near that day. Swooning his mother by the black bier lay, nor easily could people who were there the second Rachel carry from the bier. With torture and with shameful death each one, the provost did these cursed Hebrews serve, who of their murder knew, and that anon from justice to the villains he'd not swerve. Evil shall have what evil does deserve, and therefore with wild horses did he draw, and after hang their bodies all by law. Upon the bier lay this poor innocent, before the altar, while the mass did last, and after that the abbot and monks went about the coffin for to close it fast. But when the holy water they did cast, then spoke the child at touch of holy water, and sang, O Alma Redemptoris Mater. This abbot, who was a right holy man, as all monks are, or as they ought to be, the dead young boy to conjure then began, saying, O dear child, I do beg of thee, by virtue of the Holy Trinity, tell me how it can be that thou dost sing after thy throat is cut to all seeming. My throat is cut unto the spinal bone, replied the child. By nature of my kind I should have died many hours agone. But Jesus Christ, as you in books shall find, wills that his glory last in human mind. As for the honor of his mother dear, still may I sing O Alma out loud and clear. This well of mercy, Jesus' mother sweet, I always loved after my poor knowing. And when came time that I my death must meet, she came to me and bade me only sing this anthem in the pain of my dying. As you have heard, and after I had sung, she laid a precious pearl upon my tongue. Wherefore I sing, and sing I must, 'tis plain, in honor of that blessed maiden free, till from my tongue is taken away the grain. And afterward she said thus unto me, My little child, soon will I come for thee. When from thy tongue the little bead they take, be not afraid, thee I will not forsake. A holy monk, this abbot, so say I. The tongue caught out and took away the grain, and he gave up the ghost then easily. And when the abbot saw this wonder plain, the salt tears trickled down his cheeks like rain, and humbly he fell prone upon the ground, lying there still as if he had been bound. And all the monks lay there on the pavement, weeping and praising Jesus, mother dear. And after that they rose, and forth they went, taking away this martyr from his bier. And in a tomb of marble, carved and clear, did they enclose this little body, his little body sweet, where he is now, God grant us him to meet. O you young Hugh of Lincoln, slain also by cursed Jews, as is well known to all, since it was but a little while ago, pray you for us sinful and weak who call, that of his mercy God will still let fall something of grace and mercy multiply. For reverence of his mother dear on high. Amen. Here ends the Prioress's tale. The prologue to Sir Thopas. The merry words of the host to Chaucer. When told was all this miracle, every man so sober fell 'twas wonderful to see, until our host in jesting wise began. And for the first time did he glance at me, saying, What man are you? 'Twas thus, quoth he, You look as if you tried to find a hare, for always on the ground I see you stare. Come near me then, and look up merrily. Now make way, sirs, and let this man have place. He in the waist is shaped as well as I. This were a puppet in an arm's embrace. For any woman small and fair of face. Why, he seems absent by his countenance, and gossips with no one for dalliance. Since other folk have spoken, it's your turn. Tell us a mirthful tale, and that anon. Mine host, said I, don't be, I beg, too stern, for of good tales indeed, sir, have I none, save a long rhyme I learned in years agone. Well, that is good, said he. Now shall we hear, it seems to me, a thing to bring us cheer. Here begins Chaucer's tale of Sir Thopas. The first fit. Listen, lords, with good intent. I truly will a tale present, of mirth and of solace. All of a knight was fair and gent, in battle and in tournament. His name was Sir Thopas. Born he was in a far country in Flanders, all beyond the sea, and Popperinghayes the place. His father was a man full free, and lord he was of that country, as chanced to be God's grace. Sir Thopas was a doughty swain, white was his brow as pain-demain, his lips red as a rose, his cheeks were like poppies in grain, and I tell you, and will maintain, he had a comely nose. His hair and beard were like saffron, and to his girdle reached adown. His shoes were of cordwain, from Bruges where come his long hose brown. His rich robe was of cyclatoun, and cost full many a jane. Well could he hunt the dim wild deer, and ride a hawking by river, with grey goshawk on hand. Therewith he was a good archer. At wrestling was there none his peer, where any ram did stand. Full many a maiden bright in bower did long for him for paramour, when they were best asleep, but chaste he was, no lecher sure, and sweet as is the bramble flower, that bears a rich red hepe. And so befell upon a day, in truth, as I can tell or may, Sir Thopas out would ride, he mounted on his stallion grey, and held in hand a lance, I say, with long sword by his side. He spurred throughout a fair forest, wherein was many a dim wild beast, aye, both the buck and hare, and as he spurred on north and east, I tell you now he had in breast a melancholy care. There herbs were springing, great and small, the licorice blue and white set wall, and many a gilly flower, and nutmeg for to put in ale, all whether it be fresh or stale, or lay in chest and bower. The birds they sang upon that day, the sparrow hawk, the popinjay, Till it was joy to hear the missile thrush he made his lay. The tender stock dove on the spray, she sang full loud and clear. Sir Topaz fell to love-longing, all when he heard the throstle sing, and spurred as madman would. His fair stallion for the spurring did sweat till men his coat might wring. His 2 flanks were all blood. Sir Topaz grown so weary was with spurring on the yielding grass. So fierce had been his speed that down he laid him in that place, to give the stallion some solace and let him find his feed. O Holy Mary, Bendita, what ails the heart that love in me should bind me now so sore? For dreamed I all last night, pardie, an elf queen shall my darling be, and sleep beneath my gore. An elf queen will I love you wis, for in this world no woman is worthy to be my make. In town all other women I forsake, and to an elf queen I'll betake myself by dale and down. Into his saddle he climbed anon, and spurred them over stile and stone, an elf queen for to see, till he so far had ridden on, he found a secret place and won the land of fairy so wild. For in that country was there none that unto him dared come, not one, not either wife or child, until there came a great giant, whose name it was Sir Oliphant, a dangerous man indeed. He said, O child, by Termagant, save thou dost spur from out my haunt. Anon I'll stay thy steed with mace, for here the queen of fairy, with harp and pipe in harmony, is dwelling in this place. The child said, As I hope to thrive, will fight the morn as I'm alive, when I have my armor, for well I hope, and par ma fay, that thou shalt by this lance well pay, and suffer strokes full sore. Thy maw shall I pierce through, and if I may, ere it be fully prime of day, thou'lt die of wounds most raw. Sir Topaz drew back full blast. Sir Topaz drew back full fast. This giant at him stones did cast, out of a fell staff sling, but soon escaped was child Topaz, and all it was by God's own grace, and by his brave bearing. And listen yet, lords, to my tale, merrier than a nightingale, whispered to all and some, how Sir Topaz, with pride grown pale, hard spurring over hill and dale, came back to his own home. His merry men commanded he to mark for him both game and glee, for needs now must he fight with a great giant of heads 3, for love in the society of one who shone full bright. Do come, he said, my minstrels all, and jesters tell me tales in hall, anon in mine arming, of old romances right royal, of pope and king and cardinal, and e'en of love liking. They brought him first a sweet, sweet wine, and mead within a macelin, and royal spicery of gingerbread that was full fine, cumin and licorice I opine, and sugar so dainty. He drew on next his white skin clear, of finest linen clean and sheer, his breeches and a shirt, and next the shirt a stuffed acton, and over that a habergeon, gainst his piercing of his heart, and over that a fine hauberk that was wrought of all of Jewish work, and reinforced with plate, and over that his coat of arms, as white as lily flower that charms, wherein he will debate. His shield was all of gold so red, and thereon was a wild boar's head, a carbuncle beside. And now he swore, by ale and bread, that soon this giant shall be dead, betide what may betide. His jambo were of cuirabolee, his sword sheath was of ivory, his helm of latten bright, his saddle was of rebel bone, and as the sun his bridle shone, or as the full moonlight. His spear was of fine cypress wood, that boded war, not brotherhood. The head full sharply ground, his steed was all of dapple grey, whose gait was ambling on the way, full easily and round. Inland. Behold, my lords, here is a fit. If you'll have any more of it, you have but to command the second fit. Now hold your peace, par charity, both knight and lady fair and free, and hearken to my spell, of battle and of chivalry, and all of ladies' lovejory, anon I will you tell. Romances men recount, of Price, of Kinghorn, and of Hippotice, of Bevis and Sir Guy, of Sir Lebeau and Plain de Moor, but Sir Topaz is flower shore, of regal chivalry. His good horse all he then bestrode, and forth upon his way he rode. Like spark out of a brand, upon his crest he bore a tower, wherein was thrust a lily flower. God grant he may withstand. He was a knight adventurous, wherefore he'd sleep with no house, but lay down in his hood. His pillow was his helmet bright, and by him browsed all his steed all night, on forage fine and good. Himself drank water of the well, as did the knight Sir Percival. So worthy in his weeds, till on a day, here the host halted Chaucer in his tale of Topus.